This is the best that Destiny 2 has ever been. The final shape put the cherry on top of a 10-year long sundae, and we're eating good with this one. This is the finale that we needed, not only in story, but also in new sandbox changes and some cool yet unexpected twists in gear. If you haven't played the expansion yet, I'm warning you now, there will be spoilers in this video. I'm going to talk about the things that stood out the most to me and what I like the most about the expansion, but while we're going through it, leave a comment down below and let me know what you feel is the best part of the expansion or maybe where you feel it's lacking. Alright, so now that I gave people time to click off if they didn't want spoilers, we're going to jump straight into it. Finally, the Light and Darkness saga is over. That's it. We killed the darkness. Or did we? I mean, sure, we defeated the Witness, but some remnants still linger, and now we have bigger fish to fry. Now, I'm no lore master, but apparently the Winnower wants some smoke too, so when will we see them? I don't know. But they seem like the new big bad of Destiny, so I have a feeling that this whole thing isn't quite over yet. Either way, the final shape story was fantastic. It really made you feel the elevated stakes and like time was just running out constantly. We got to see some old friends like Cade, and we got a lot of much needed closure, again with Cade specifically, but other things around as well. From start to finish, I felt the tension in the storyline, and man did it feel good to finally take down the Witness. And of course, the story can't be had without the location, specifically the Pale Heart, inside of the Traveler. This is such a unique zone in Destiny, even though it brings back places from our past such as the old D1 tower. Despite this, Bungie did an excellent job of making the open world feel alive. There's always something going on when you load into patrol in the Pale Heart, and that really makes me feel like I was playing D1 again, especially since now I have a reason to go on chest runs, which I'll talk about in a minute. Overthrow is the new mechanic that replaced events. It basically is events, except you don't load into other people's zones like you do in the other open areas. Overthrow actually impressed me quite a bit. Even though it's such a simple system, it's the fact that it still feels fresh even after hours and hours of playing the open world. The Pale Heart has 3 major zones, and each zone has its own overthrow. And then within each overthrow, there are unique events, and there's quite a bit of them. On top of that, each zone has different bosses at the end of the overthrow, so there are a lot of layers in place to make it feel different enough each time that you run one. On top of that, overthrow is rewarding. You get loot left and right from the various chests, but especially from the final chest after defeating the boss. Then, of course, we have the typical lost sectors, which were fun to run through, and as usual, they get reused in other missions and in other quests. Specifically, this time around, they get used in a new mission type called Cyst, and these are small side missions with unique mechanics required to beat them. For example, in the Sword Dance Cyst, you have to use a Hive Knight sword to clear obstacles in your way. And then all of this new content comes loaded with loot and new exotics, like the grind for the Kvostov, which will have you running through all of the Cyst and lost sectors. We've also got other cool exotics like the Macrocosm and the Red Death Reformed, which is back and it's pretty damn good in Crucible. But we gotta talk about the Ergo Sum for a second, the new exotic sword that fits in your secondary slot with random rolls as well, some of which can be pretty darn crazy, like the Galahorn Wolfpack rounds. I thought this was pretty neat because it's just more random rolls on an exotic, which is always fun. But then we got a secret 2-player quest for an exotic class item, which we haven't seen since D1. I think for me, this has to be the most fun and motivating piece of equipment in Destiny's history. Essentially, it combines 2 perks from 2 other exotics into one. The catch is the perks are watered down versions of the exotic traits. So in a way, you're wearing 2 watered down exotics, but it still gets the job done, and it allows for a lot of theory crafting and just fun new little ideas that you can come up with. Then you have to factor in that the rolls are completely random, and the class item only has about a 2% drop chance outside of the quest itself. So good luck grinding for that god roll. The thing, in my opinion, that makes these class items shine the most is Prismatic. This is the expansion's new subclass, which really just combines pieces of every other subclass into one. It brings along a new mechanic called Transcendence, which allows you to transcend once you do enough light and dark damage, and it gives you a cool little grenade that you get to use. The addition of this subclass was very unexpected for me, but it was also an incredible addition, and I can say that Bungie definitely cooked with this one. My only critique here is that sometimes I felt a little pigeonholed into a specific build, as I don't really see too much variability in my builds with it when I'm playing PvE, and I tend to just go back to Void Hunter for higher end PvE content. And I'll admit this is probably just a me issue, but I mean, I felt like I was playing combination blow with that Duskfield dodge the whole time as a hunter throughout the story, and I've really tried to find other ways to make it work, and it just doesn't really feel like there's too many things that enable new playstyles. And again, probably just my fault. I'm not very good at theory crafting in Destiny, so if you guys have any ideas on what kind of builds you're doing, let me know down in the comments. Despite that, this is where the exotic class items shine because it adds another layer of combination for the prismatic subclass specifically that just keeps it fresh. Overall, prismatic is super fun and a nice mix for the sandbox. The next thing that I wanted to talk about is the core ritual activities and some of the quality of life stuff that got my attention in the final shape. As a quick warning, I haven't played this game since the first season of Lightfall, and I skipped everything past it, so if the stuff that I talk about here was introduced before the final shape, I'm sorry. This is more for those of you who haven't kept up the same way that I did. First off, the ritual activities feel revamped, and they actually get me excited to play for extended periods of time. Crucible Competitive is in such a good spot right now, with the proper rank and matchmaking system, as well as the rewards that come from it. Ascendant alloys and artifice armors without having to play master dungeons is such a nice change of pace for those of us who don't want to do PvE activities all the time. Then we have the new auto rifle, the Riposte. This is easily my biggest motivator to farm comp right now, because I want a PvE role for this thing, and visually it looks amazing. The Vanguard playlists also feel good. It's a nice mix of strikes and battlegrounds that keep it fresh. Bungie also left in the Onslaught activity from the update right before the final shape, so there's plenty to do in the game right now. They also introduced the new Pathfinder system, which ties it all together by giving you the option to complete objectives and different ritual activities for one big payoff at the end. I really like this new system, which replaces the traditional bounties, and it nudges you to play different things, not just Crucible or just Vanguard. And last but not least, I bet you thought that I forgot about Gambit. I didn't. Now, moving beyond the expansion itself, episodes. I know it's pretty early on, so it's not fair to judge it this early, but so far, episodes are classic reskin Destiny content. It's literally just seasons with a different name and a couple extra steps. They just time gate harder than last time. You're still getting the same rewards that you were before, exotic armors and weapons, but they broke it up into 3 acts with more time gating in between them. So right now, we're waiting like 20 days for the next act to start. It's the same song and dance. Log in, do your several weekly quests, then wait until next week for more story. At this point, I'm probably just gonna wait until we're further into the season to start doing the quests, but I definitely want to complete the pass just because the ornaments this time around are pretty sweet. And there are a lot more tiers. There are 200 instead of 100 this time. The time-gated content never really felt good in my opinion, but this is just more of that, so take it how you will. Then, moving further beyond that, we can look at some really cool things going on in the Destiny universe. We're gonna get episode Revenant coming up next, which is some cool vampire-esque stuff. And then we're going back to the Dreadnought in episode Heresy. Then at the very end, they showed off a quick snippet of Destiny 2 Frontiers, which I'm guessing is going to be the next expansion. I don't know where it's going to take us, but it sounds cool, and I'm here for it. Bungie made sure to let us know that this is not the end of Destiny 2 or of Destiny in general, and it feels like we're about to get into some really cool new territory. All of this unknown and potential in the story of Destiny makes me feel like I did when I was a kid in middle school killing Vex in the Ishtar sink on Venus for the first time, or farming chests on the moon for helium filaments. All this to say that I'm very excited to see where this game goes next. So wrapping it all up with a nice little ribbon, this is probably the best that Destiny has ever felt, in my opinion. If you're still on the fence about getting this expansion, I highly recommend it. This is probably the most fun I've had in Destiny in a very long time. Maybe because I took a break, I don't know. Things just feel a lot better. I think it's healthy to take breaks here and there. I'm going to keep farming for my exotic cloak roll, and I'm going to keep playing comp for the AR. But we do have the first Ascendant coming up, so I'll be playing that this upcoming week, and you can expect a video sometime within the next month or so. With that being said though, guys, thanks for sticking through. If you made it this far, leave a like if you enjoyed the video. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.